Hello, welcome back. I'm gonna have another video, and we've been talking about doing this video for a long time because, as you see in the screen, I am with my good friend. Jess, I think we've been friends for over 10 years now,
Yes,
over a
yes,
decade, over a decade.
yes,
I
bro.
remember you,
Definitely over a
I
decade.
remember you were much younger and, uh, much
Yeah,
younger, but now you're wiser. Okay.
yeah.
No kids yet when I met you. I
Yes,
think you were just newly married. Okay.
yes, yes,
Newly married, no kids yet. And we've maintained this friendship over the years.
yeah.
And as I said, that Jay is one of my good friends. And since I'm a finance guy, ibig sabihin kuripot, I have stayed in his house in Singapore too many times, too many times. In fact, if I count, I've probably stayed in a Singapore hotel, very about 30%, 70%. I would spend time with Jess. Also, it's a good time for us to connect also. So Jess,
Yes, yes,
so this is a Jess is the global investor. He's a Filipino based in Singapore. Okay?
yes.
And he's been active. We've done programs together, even traveled abroad together.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
done this. And I probably one of the first one who coined you as the global investor, if you remember that. Your global investor type na, is an advocate for global investing. At the time when global investing in the Philippines was not totally known, and you've opened up the doors for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
Jess, okay, because I think if you're an investor or an advocate in Singapore, automatically you think very globally, very different from the way we do it in the Philippines. So
Yes.
how is it so far for you? I mean, how is the investment environment now for the globe? And maybe we can talk about where the trends are. And I know you like talking about disruptive technology and stuff like this. So kamusta? How is it so far? What did
Uh,
you experience since the pandemic started?
well, since the pandemic started, definitely we've seen who are the big winners, no? There has been a divergence between the traditional economic powerhouses
Mm-hmm.
compared to the new wave of companies, no. Generally the companies were able to adapt uh, uh, with the use of technology did very well, whether they are a traditional business using technology or they're a tech company making most of their opportunities. But obviously, the tech companies were the ones who did very well. But apart from that, I think one area then that did very well was actually healthcare.
Yeah, okay. Obviously because of the pandemic.
Yeah, because of the pandemic, um, and a convergence of different types of innovation platforms, I would say.
Yeah.
No?
Just ngayon, no, when you talk about technology, it's so broad na. It's not like, because I know you're a tech guy, you're an IT
Yeah,
guy. Before, when you say technology, it's just limited to IT and maybe a little bit of semiconductors. But now so when we talk about technology now, it's like, wow, it's so huge. And this happened in the last, what, 5, 6, 7 years?
uh, you mean the expansion?
Yeah, I mean, the whole technology field it's
Well,
crazy now. No?
it has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's just that it wasn't ready for prime time, I would
Okay.
say. So
So
it was,
they've been in the back.
yeah, it's kind of like in the research part of tech
Yeah,
companies.
yeah.
I give you an example, no. So for example, yung mga artificial intelligence. I
Oo.
mean, we all know that it's been there, but the usage of it has not been as prominent as it is today. No?
Okay.
And then, for example, on the healthcare side, like genome sequencing, right? Genome sequencing used to be like only for fantasy movies,
Yeah, so sci-fi. Okay.
sci-fi. In 2003, it cost around $3 billion just to sequence a human genome,
Yeah, okay.
and nowadays it's $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so the cost, the because of this like rapid cost decline, definitely there's a lot of movement in terms of innovation, drug creation to
Mhm.
to to treat illnesses, no. So
Okay.
the idea nowadays, especially on the biotech side, on the healthcare side, is to treat the disease, the root of the disease na instead of the
Before.
symptoms, di
Okay.
ba?
And this is all, this is, were put in the light, in a more mainstream light, especially because of the pandemic, the understanding the use of
Yes.
technology, work from home. Because, prior to this, Singapore lang also may work from home noon, if you remember, right? So I was talking to people, I have friends who in Singapore in the last 3-5 years have already worked from home or hybrid. They only go to work once a week and most of the time. And I guess the reason for that is the high cost of rentals in Singapore. But now, and even with the opening of the economy, I think we will still maintain this level of hybrid solution because it now makes sense and technology enables us to do so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's part of it, and also because Singapore is a regional and global hub.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the companies here, a lot of especially the higher management, they're managing different countries. Eh.
Yeah.
So their teams are all over. So that's why it's part and parcel of their job to use technology to interact.
Yeah.
Before they used to travel a lot, but nowadays
Yeah.
because of COVID, no more travel. They just have all a video conference Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess now we're seeing more of these things. And I guess it's, in a way, it's permanently changing the economy, the business side of things. And that's why there's new growth areas. So last year, big winners are technology in general, and
Yeah,
healthcare.
yeah.
Do you think that moving forward, Jess, are they still gonna do as good in 2021 and forward 22, 23? Or will they still continue this rally? It's a rally. It's I have not seen numbers like that in a long time.
Yeah, I think we have to look at it from a longer term perspective, no. Um, I do think that over a 5 to 10 year time frame or more, technology will be the main driver.
Okay.
Actually, I would say disruptive innovation, because there's not just technology. There's a lot. There's probably around 5 different platforms of innovation that will be driving the driving force of global growth, no. But yung uh, the main, let's say the leading stocks, the growth stocks, right? Like currently you have the fangs, no, the Facebook, Apple,
Yeah.
Amazon, Google.
Yeah.
Those are currently they're parang the leaders.
Yeah.
But
And
there
very
are now like
mainstream. Yeah.
the second level, which is maybe like the Tesla, the Squares.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
are the companies, or even this company called the Teladoc. No, Teladoc is a uh, what do you call this? Yung remote telemedicine. It's a
Okay. Okay.
telemedicine
Okay.
application. So there's a lot of these things that I feel will take over. Kumbaga, um marami pa kasing mga parts ng technology or innovation that has been in the back burner for a long time, because it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't kumbaga it wasn't time for them yet.
Yeah. And
Hindi pa
maybe also
hindi pa
because
ready
just
for it.
yeah, maybe also because mga companies at that time, parang they can survive without putting too much money on technology. They're still
Yes,
profitable.
yes,
Traditional sales and marketing strategies still work for them.
yes.
And at the pace of the growth was so big because of the growing middle class. But
Mm,
now with the pandemic, now you're taking a look at, wait, how do I bring costs down? How do I make it efficient? And stuff like this. This is where I guess technology, and you say disruptive technology, plays a
mm,
big role. Now, let's talk about as a normal investor. Like, I'm not
mm.
a tech guy. I'm just a normal guy. I and I know you've been saying this, and I agree with that. We need to start putting things like this in your portfolio.
Yes.
I think it's a
Maganda.
I think what we need to understand is at times, especially if you've been investing for quite a number of years already, you're not that newbie anymore. You already have your mutual funds, you have selected stocks and
Mm,
stuff like that. And I think at this point in time, you now have to be open to include this in your portfolio because
mm,
it makes you now, it now makes it more, not safer, but really it makes more sense now
Yeah.
to get some form of a global exposure.
Yeah, more diversification, so it helps you weather through the different
Yeah.
movements in the market.
And especially now, Jess, no, that the Philippine market has not been getting anywhere
Yeah,
for quite a number. Even before the
the last few
pandemic,
years.
they
Yeah,
were more flat.
yeah,
Diba? I mean,
yeah.
we've been waiting for the recovery or the growth. It's gonna happen. Just to be clear, it's gonna happen. I still believe that we're gonna hit these high numbers, but we need to wait a little bit longer. Now, in the
Yes, I agree.
meantime, there are options for you to take a look at as well.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you mentioned something about disruptive. Now, what is the big buzz in this disruptive
Um,
phase going on?
I would categorize it as innovation as a whole.
Okay.
Okay, kasi if you look into history, even you go back like centuries ago, right? There's always been innovation that's happening. It's just that people, when they are first introduced, they're dismissed
Yeah.
as something that can be reality in a way.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So let's say for example in the 1800s, right? You have the steam engine, the railways, and then you move on to the let's say the later times, no, you have the telephone, the automobile, the electricity, and then the 80s 90s you have the computers, the internet. No, nowadays I think we're basically getting into like another subset of this evolution, which is based on my research and things that I've been talking about. You're getting into, let's say, things like artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
robotics, um, energy storage. No, nowadays
Okay.
you're using a lot of batteries now, so you even use that for electric vehicles. Genome sequencing on the healthcare side,
Yeah.
and blockchain technology,
Is
no,
another thing. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of people talk about Bitcoin for that, but actually it's a much bigger space than just Bitcoin.
Okay. Okay. So these are the things that are happening, and it makes sense as an investor. You're a young guy, maybe not as young as me, although I'm older than Jess. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am much older than Jess. But younger people today who are very accustomed to technology anyway
Mm,
should start considering also getting some exposure here.
yeah.
Okay, now I know we love Philippine stocks. I personally love Philippine equities, but it actually makes sense to have a more global exposure as well.
Mm,
So at the end of the day, growth is going to happen. It might even happen at the maybe later on at the same time. So I think it's about time for Filipinos to slowly get some exposure here.
mm,
Okay, and I think that's been your narrative for what for the last 10 years, no?
yeah. My first my first
And some of them in my events. Okay.
interview in ANC on the Money was about this global investing, and then the
Yeah.
first time that I went overseas was also with you,
Yeah.
Dubai, right?
Dubai.
Money
Yes.
talks.
Yeah, and we were talking about at least the global exposure.
Yeah.
Back then, I guess I don't blame people because the Philippine markets are exciting and stuff like this.
Yes.
But now, you're seeing the benefits of have proper diversification. At the end of the day, it's sound. You want to be able to diversify, but
Yeah.
I guess it also makes a lot of sense to take a look at things before they start to grow massively. So things like this, kasi,
Yeah.
and you've seen that. So are you in agreement that all of these disruptive technologies, innovation, and stuff, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, or what? Are we very exposed now, or
I do think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. But I do think there's gonna be like the second wave of
okay?
tech companies that will, kumbaga, take the reins from the current
Yeah,
what you call this, leaders, no. But of course, it will take a few years before they
yeah,
can actually take over. So the the idea is that if you look at the valuations kasi right now, medyo expensive na, but normally you have nowhere else to put your money.
mm-hmm.
I mean, these are the only sector that is actually kumbaga still being profitable even in a time of
Yeah. And
you know
seems to be it
turmoil.
seems to be the standard fundamentally sound has been redefined now for them, di ba? I mean,
Yeah.
PE
The,
ratio, I mean, all these things.
I think for technology talaga, it's very difficult to use fundamentals only,
Mhm.
because it has always been driven by innovation eh.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like forward looking.
yeah,
So if you use a lot of fundamental analysis, the likely scenario is you probably don't want to invest in tech, or will have a very small
for
allocation,
sure, yeah.
right? It's very telling eh. Like for example, even Warren Buffett was like this, right? Warren Buffett, because he's very well known for as a value investor, looks at fundamental analysis a lot. He missed out on a lot of technology companies. But lately, wala na eh. He also got in already, no? He has a lot of shares in Apple. Pero his rationale for buying Apple was more coming from his consumer side.
Yeah, which
He's looking as Apple as a consumer product eh. But
yeah,
that
and just these big players, it's easy to do fundamentals of them. They've been here for many years.
yes.
They're highly profitable. It's easy to look at cash flows and everything. Although lately they haven't been innovating as well. Parang, di ba? Parang,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's why you have the kumbaga the newer players that are
yeah.
coming out.
And
Like
just, you fund managers are now looking at this also. So if I invest in, let's say, in a mutual fund that is technology something,
mm,
uh, is it safe to say that, I can go into a fund na merong these big players and also exposure to this up and coming, the next wave of technology?
uh,
Or
the,
should I separate that?
to be honest, it's likely separated now. Kasi
Okay.
the fund managers who are investing in technology, their usual definition of technology is the big players.
So
So
big cap, mid cap, small
yeah,
cap,
the
then
large
okay.
the mega cap, yung pinakamalaki.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the mga trillions of dollars in valuation. So you're talking about Facebook, Apple, Amazon, uh,
Google.
yung mga ganun, Microsoft, even Mastercard, Visa, they also put that
Yeah.
lump that in there eh, kasi they also use technology. But the players that are moving very fast are not at that level. They are
Okay.
at I would say 50 to 100 billion dollar valuation or less.
Okay.
Because these are the companies that are really taking advantage of the changes in the current
And they're
environment.
and they're smaller, they're easier to adapt to these
Yes,
changes.
they're small, they're easier for them to adapt, and they are more decisive in what
Yeah.
they do. And then very niche. Eh. So for example, on the electric vehicle side, of course, you have Tesla. Tesla is I'm not saying buy Tesla because medyo expensive na yung it's a bit speculative, but there's a lot of demand for that. Tesla is a convergence of actually different innovations. You can look into it as it could be a robotics company if you look at it from that perspective, because the car can technically drive itself,
Okay.
right? You can look at it as an energy storage company
Okay.
because it's actually using batteries, and they're it's sort of in line with the green energy movement, right? You can also look at it from an artificial intelligence
Yeah. Okay.
perspective, because nowadays we have what we call deep learning. No, deep learning is a portion of artificial intelligence where it's starting to mimic how humans make decisions, but it's now the computers software who's now writing codes to kind of like um, create decisions for the machines. No, for
Wow.
example, kasi 'di ba ngayon, if let's say if you're driving on a slippery road, normally for humans it's normal, you can make a lot of decisions quickly based on the condition of the road, etc. For artificial intelligence, it takes some time because they need to gather a lot of data, right? But the thing is that the way that it's being built right now is very fast and very proficient compared to before, because normally before, when you need to give instructions to a machine, to a software, it's actually a human person who's creating the code, the software code to run it. Nowadays, it's like machine creating the code, is
Wow.
software creating
Okay.
the code, right? So so it creates a lot of this parang advancement very very fast, no? So
And
that's
these are the things that you believe is where the growth will happen. I mean, if I want going back to our, we're finance people
hmm,
more than we are tech. Well, I'm not a tech people. I know you used to be a tech guy.
yeah.
I know
long
for
long
a
time ago.
part of your life, and you used to work for Nokia.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, if you don't,
when,
so
when
since
when
a
they were
lot of
still
this, listening are millennial and some Gen Z, so but they probably wouldn't know. Nokia is like maybe a joke for them now. But
yeah,
anyway, so
I
so
was working for Nokia when they were still the number 5 top brand in the world.
now it's like well, it's a testimony on innovation and what not to do. Okay, so Jess, going back to at least we're talking about finance here.
Yeah.
This is something that you need to take a look at first. So, would you recommend investors to do their own research and all these things, or would coming into a fund be, wiser for us?
Um, if we're looking into investing globally, I've always leaned towards pooled funds,
Okay.
because it's just too overwhelming for one person to know every single thing happening in the world, right? You definitely cannot have expertise in every single sector and
Yeah.
sector and different parts of the world. Right now, the story right now is technology, USA, disruptive innovation. But when we're talking about global investing, it's not just USA. You still
Okay.
have the other parts of the world. You have China, Brazil, Russia. Maybe they're not the flavor of the month today, but eventually they will come out then later on, right? There are other parts of the world. So um, for me, uh, using pooled funds is a very good way to have access to these things without having to do all the research and do all the execution. Sometimes the execution part is also a problem, right? Because let's say, assuming kasi right now we're talking about US, probably easier. But let's just say US has already as it's run, and it's time for other markets to start running, right? Let's say you want to invest in China, local market, for example. The question is, do you have access to the stock market?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you speak Chinese? Do you know how to interpret what they're saying?
Yeah.
And
And do
then
you
you
even know
take
their companies? I mean, a
you know
lot of
their
these companies
companies,
we
you know
don't
how they're
know. Yeah.
structured, right? And then the nuances of that. And then, of course, then, okay, that's just one country. How about Russia,
India.
Brazil, India, right?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of these places na I'm not discounting that they're right now kasi bida yung USA right now because USA has a lot of the technology companies which is basically leading the charge today, right? But when you're talking about finance, you always want to buy the ones that are, kumbaga, the
Yeah.
valuations are cheaper and has a
Yeah.
high upside, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, right now you can ride the momentum for technology, but eventually people will start looking into other parts of the world. At least the big investors, the institutional investors, will start looking to other parts of the world where the valuations are cheap and it's time for it to start
Okay.
making money, right? For example, when the economies rebound, you made your money from tech, for example, it's time for you to take your profit and move somewhere else,
Yeah.
right?
Go to these emerging nations again,
Emerging nations.
where you can make a lot of profit. Yeah.
I don't think the technology and innovation will disappear.
Mhm.
But probably in terms of prominence, they will always rotate. It cannot
Okay.
be one sector forever. So yung question mo kanina about do I think it will do well for the next 2-3 years? Maybe. But it doesn't mean that the other sectors will not do well. Like for example, I was quite surprised that the Chinese funds did very well.
Yeah.
Assuming probably mga 50% lang or 70%. And some of them generated more than 100% returns. Right? So I was telling you earlier, I was looking at the performance for the last 1 year just a few days ago. From a fund level, the highest in the last week for the past 1 year is 324%.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So from if you're coming from a stock market perspective, para siyang you think of it like it's like a penny stock, but actually it's not a penny stock.
Yeah, and these are large caps.
It's a large. It's a diversified fund,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And then of course after that you have the 200+%, and then you have the 100+%.
yeah. Okay.
But lahat ng 100 plus, there's 62 of them.
Wow.
62, that's a lot. Di
So
ba?
ang yaman mo ngayon lalo, Jess.
Well, hindi ko naman naglagay sa lahat ng I've been telling my clients that we start investing in disruptive innovation. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah, okay.
But last year, actually since 2017, we've been accumulating gold. So gold mining kami since 2017. So last year we did very well. Last year when we exited, we made around 50 to 100%.
Okay.
So it was very good. But we missed some of the rally in the disruptive innovation. But the thing is that I do think that the rally in the disruptive innovation is just starting. Kasi
it's not too late to come in.
It's not too late to come in, but you need to also be patient because when you're talking about innovation, sometimes it takes a long runway.
Yeah.
No, so sometimes maybe people, kasi ganito yun eh. If people don't understand, they will not put that much money yet.
Yeah.
Right?
And just the same way naman with index funds. I mean, you don't expect it to grow. I mean, really, when you invest in a mutual fund index, a broad index, S&P or sa atin PCOM, well, you're supposed to wait for 5, 6, 7, 10 years anyway.
Yeah.
Same way with technology.
I think the basics of investments are the same, which is basically, in my opinion, you have at least 5 to 10 years minimum time frame.
And you diversify.
And diversified and good asset class. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Kasi from a statistical standpoint, your chances of a positive portfolio for a 1-year holding period, assuming you invest in the top 500 companies in the US, is 71%. When you push that up to around 5 years, that goes up to around 87%. And then 10 years, around 95%, 20 years, almost 100%.
Okay.
So when you're investing, you want the odds to be in your favor, right?
Yeah. So you need to do it early. You need to do it regularly, and you need to do it wisely. I mean, that's like the core.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening, I know a lot of you are still very young. You want to be able to build on your investing. You know, while we're enjoying our money, spending on many things, we also need to start investing. And since you guys are young and you have a long term, you have a longer horizon, longer than me, longer than Jess. Sorry, you have now exited that whole young market. You have now entered a
middle age
market. Officially, it's a different one. It's still time. I'm still investing in technology and disruptive stuff. At least what I can get, and to do that. And especially for Filipinos who have very limited access to this anyway, you have to start looking for funds where you can get into that will have a global access. And that's where you come. You've been helping a lot of Filipinos also, Jess, no?
Yeah. So I've been doing this for, more than 12 years already in Singapore.
Yeah.
And siguro
I'm one of your clients, just to be clear. Just for transparency reasons, okay? I'm not, this is not a paid ad. I don't earn anything from Jess. But I am happy with what Jess, the recommendations of Jess has been very sound for me all these years. And that's why we're featuring him also. So you help them with that. Or you can even check out locally there. Kasi ngayon, iba na, no, Jess, dito sa Philippines, there are now funds that have global exposure that we were not there years ago. But now they're here already, you know. So like I just had an interview with Fidelity. I have one with Invesco. So and Jess is here also. So hindi na to there's a little bit effort on your part, but you can now have access to these things.
Siguro yung difference lang with what I do and most of what is available nowadays is that I'm using a DFY platform. So kasi right now karamihan ng platforms they call it the DIY. You do it yourself, right? So you do
Okay.
everything yourself. Sa akin kasi is DFY basically end to end. I'll do it for the clients and then all they need to do is log in and approve. That's all.
Okay. So that's that side. That's a service that you offer.
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
gonna put the links of Jess Uy. I'm gonna put his Facebook account. I think they can message you through Facebook Messenger, correct?
They can like my Facebook page and
Okay.
I revamp my website. So,
Okay. So all these links I'm gonna put in the description. So okay na to. May alam mo na to ngayon, Jess. Ina-update mo ba, Jess?
may ano na, mag-update na yan.
Okay. So good.
Yung information is newer already.
Okay, good. So Jess, it's been a wonderful catch up with you. I've always been a fan of yours. I know all these years, and I think there's so much value that you can give for people and the information. I know one YouTube interview will not encompass anything, but I think ang dami natin na pick up for tonight. Or I mean this session, whatever time you're watching this. So Jess, last words mo for our listeners. Brotherly reminders mo. So I remember a lot of these are young. Now, Jess, when you're talking to YouTube and stuff, you're actually talking to younger people now. I remember when you started, you were talking to older people. Then now you're talking closer to your age, but now you're also talking to younger people. And I'm not saying younger, just like 15 years younger than you.
Yes. I think for I mean it depends on which life stage you are in. But if you're a young person, definitely my word for you is to start early. No, start early, invest regularly. Look out for the long term. Don't follow yung mga very short term na mindset. No, I think most people they get in trouble for that.
Wag ma-hype.
Ayun. And then for those who are in the older generation,
your generation,
it's not too late to start. It's not too late to start.
What's your advice for my generation? Now officially I'm gonna be a lolo, the lolo generation. I look young. I know I look like
your generation is join the party.
Yeah, it's not too late for us. I mean, we still have a few years of investable years.
Regardless, Randall, if you reach retirement age, you still have a part of your portfolio in equity to fight inflation.
Yeah.
So the way I do it normally is what I call a debt liabilities based planning, which means that you have enough assets to pay off for your needs, and then the extra you can put in equities kung di mo naman kailangan, and that will take care of all the inflation and
or that can be a legacy for your children.
Yes, and that could also be a legacy for your
you can imagine your mom bought you Google stocks when it was starting, or Apple, or your parents. So that would have been a good legacy for you.
Actually, this is exactly what I'm telling people right now.
Yeah.
The disruptive innovation, the funds that are being bought here, is like buying Google, Apple, Amazon 20, 30 years ago.
Yan. And ako, like, di ba, traditionally, and I know this, di ba, our parents would want to buy us property and give us. Maybe the new generation, the new lolos like me, will leave a legacy, maybe hindi na property, maybe things like this also, it's going to be part of that.
Yes.
Right. So all of your contact, Jess, the jessuy.com, it's been flashing on your may ad ka pa dyan, ha?
Lagay ko na
flashing, and then your
Facebook, I always forget
Facebook page, it's gonna be there. So just again, it's also gonna be in link. So I highly recommend you connect with Jess. You offer a lot of these seminars as well, right, Jess?
Yeah, I for my clients kasi I do a quarterly call, but it's a private one. So I will probably, if there's traction, I'll start doing what you call this AMA sessions. No, ask me anything.
Yeah.
Right? So
or small group discussions, something.
yes. So
Yeah.
let's see. I'm hoping
We
to
used to do this in coffee shops before. Now
yes.
we're doing it.
Now I'm gonna do it online.
Yeah. Kami ni
I,
Jess we would do we would look for a coffee shop and people will come. You remember those? I kind of miss those times though. But
yeah.
and then people will come and then just ask, now you do it online.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I just ran a webinar for Globe recently. So there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah.
So I will likely run parang Q&A session, and everybody can come in and join and
All
see.
right. Okay. So again, I highly recommend if you are considering a more global exposure, talk about disruptive technology and everything. He's the right guy to talk to, not me, because I'm just gonna ask him. But he's the right guy to talk to. Connect with him, ask him, take a look at the things. I mean, at least have an open mind to do these things. So, Jess, last request. Can you invite the listeners to subscribe, like, and share this video? Yeah.
Yes. Please like and share Randall's videos. He's
Okay.
like the grandfather, the founder of personal finance in the Philippines, right? It's one of the first people I knew who really espouses like doing the right financial planning. No, since 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you learn a lot from Randall. Uh,
Thank you, Jess.
I've also learned a lot from Randall's. Because of you, I'm now speaking, no?
Okay, fun times, good times. So get connected to jessuy.com. Links are there. Links at this business back. And I highly recommend you check out the things that he's offering at this point in time. So again, don't forget, if you have not subscribed to this channel, subscribe, click the notification button, that bell thing, and then share it. I think a lot of these people can learn so much from our discussion. With that, this is Randall Johnson signing off. Bye, Jess, and thank
Bye
you.
bye.